The Ordinary Discussion Podcast.
And it was a Lego City train, which is a really popular theme for all ages, adult fans of Lego, all that. And I was at Toys R Us, and they had it sitting on the shelf like a whole month early. And now keep in mind, this was like $150 train. And it also had a separate train station you could buy with it, which was an additional $80. And I was just sitting there at the toy store, and I was like, man, this would be a really great video to do, but I don't have the money for it. So I called my wife and I said, Heike, listen, I want to buy something, and this is how much I want to spend, but I don't want you to ask me any questions about it. And she was like, okay.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to Ordinary Discussions. Today we have a great guest, a very interesting show to say the least. Our guest name is Paul Ufema. Paul runs a YouTube channel called All New Bricks, and All New Bricks has 1.32 million subscribers, has videos with upwards of 42 million watches. It's just an unbelievable sensation that he started back in 2013. Before that, Paul was a self-professed broke and really struggling financially in his career. He was introduced to this idea of YouTube and starting a channel, and he found something he was passionate and loved and put it into practice and found a way to monetize it. And so we're going to talk a lot about that today, part of that journey, how he went from being a photographer and a videographer of weddings and business events to now doing something that he's really passionate about and loves, and how he's monetized this journey through YouTube. And so he was also recently inducted into the Guinness Book of World Records. So he's now a record holder in the Guinness Book of World Records. We'll talk about that journey, and I think you'll find it absolutely fascinating. Obviously, God was highly involved in all of this journey and his faith, and I think you'll learn a lot. I super enjoy talking to him. Paul's a great friend of mine, and look forward to having you guys listen to this podcast. Enjoy. Paul Ufema, how you doing, man?
I am doing really amazing. Happy to be here with you. Gosh, I mean, it's amazing that we're doing this together, because it was so many years ago that we met, and we've only crossed paths like one other time in between that. And then I randomly reached out to you like 3 months ago because my wife's a realtor. So I reached out to you and I was like, should I go with the iPad Pro or the Surface? And you and I discussed that. And you're like, oh, I know some people I don't know to help you out. And you got right on top of that. And I mean, I love you for that. You saved me a headache.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, I've always liked the person that you are, so I'm excited to be here.
Well, I mean, anybody that has over 1 million subscribers on YouTube, you have plenty of people you could be speaking to. So for you to take time out to speak to us is really a big deal. I appreciate that. I want to honor your time and what people that are tuning in, the thing is you have 1.3 million subscribers, but I'm not sure you're a household name, although your channel probably is, but you're kind of like the man behind the scenes in what you do. So what is your channel on YouTube?
Okay. So my channel is called All New Bricks, and it's a channel on Legos. And I don't know how much in depth you want me to go on that exactly. I mean, Lego speaks for itself. The product for Lego just like sets a fire in me, and I just get excited about it. And when the idea was proposed to me, it was my brother that approached me, and he was like, hey, you should start a YouTube channel. And
that's Aaron, your brother Aaron?
No, it would be, actually my stepbrother.
Okay.
My parents, my dad died when maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah, I want to talk about that some. That'll probably surprise you, but I do want to talk about your father's death and some things around that, because you and I share some of that. I don't know how much you know. Aaron and I. So Aaron is Paul's brother, And Aaron is on staff at the church I used to go to in Fredericksburg, Virginia, at Life Point Church. And so Aaron and I were pretty good friends, and we were going through that. My father died around the same time, and we were both around the same time, about the same age, in our early 30s. I was 30. I think Aaron was around the same age. And so it really had a big influence on our lives. So anyhow, I'd like to, somewhere in this conversation, talk about how that has affected you in this journey, and maybe even caused some of what has happened in your life. But anyhow, sorry, all new bricks. Let's talk.
Oh, no, you're fine. So yeah, it's like, then my mom got remarried years later. And so I have like 4 stepbrothers, but we're all so close, and I really love them all. And I just call them my brother. So for some people that don't know my full past, like, I have a whole bunch of more brothers now.
Yeah.
But
awesome.
anyways, he approached me and he was like, you should start a YouTube channel. And like, I didn't even know what that even meant, what that looked like. And he showed me an article online about a person that had made $1.3 million in their first year on YouTube. And they were just posting a daily video on like they just go to like Walmart and buy like some dollar toy. It wasn't anything pricey, wasn't anything great, but they were posting every single day. And I was like, well, I don't need $1.3 million. I said, I just need
it'd be nice though.
Yeah.
Need and nice to have are two different things, right?
Right. So I figured, hey, you know what? I love Legos. I'm very knowledgeable with Legos. Now, the only reason I was knowledgeable with Lego was I had dabbled in a Lego eBay business a couple years before the YouTube idea was proposed. So we'll back up 2 years on a brief story. And my pastor was doing a sermon, and he was talking about how he had to buy some Lego parts for his son for this Lego club he was involved in at school. And he was talking about how expensive they were. And so I just went online, and it just kind of put this idea in my head. I'm like, what's he talking about? And so I went online, I searched on eBay, and I saw that people were buying Lego sets and they were parting them out. So if I were to buy like a train set, I would take the train engine and sell it for $80, and take a train car and sell it for 40, sell the track for X amount. And so if you spent like $100 on a train, you could probably make like $130 after eBay fees and shipping fees and all that stuff. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to do that. But I gained like a ton of knowledge on Lego already from doing that. So when the idea for a YouTube channel came up, I was like, I'm going to give this a go. I mean, I was broke. I was like dead broke at the time. So, I mean, for me to go like $10 outside of what we needed to be spending our money on was a big deal.
Yeah.
So I remember I went to Walmart and I bought like this $10 Millennium Falcon that nobody really even cared about. I can't say nobody cared about it. That was the wrong thing to say. It just come out. It was new to the toy stores. It was new to people that enjoyed Lego. So I just bought this $10 thing, and I didn't want to I didn't have time. I really didn't have a whole lot of time to work on it. And I remember one evening my wife took the kids out, and I was just kind of at home by myself on a Saturday. So I quickly ripped it open, snapped a bunch of pictures. It wasn't even video of it, like step by step, took a picture, laid a brick, took a picture. And it's an awful video. It's terrible. But I mean, like 100 something people watched it. And I was like, what? So, I think the big risk came and I started to dabble, and I really just wanted to figure out what people were looking for. So but I still have that very first video up. You can find it.
Oh, you can. Yeah.
You can see how terrible it is. I just don't want to ever forget where I came from. So I'm never going to take it down. It's always going to be up. Yeah. So I remember there was this train that Lego was coming out with. And it was a Lego City train, which is a really popular theme for all ages, adult fans of Lego, all that. And I was at Toys R Us, and they had it sitting on the shelf like a whole month early. And now keep in mind, this was like $150 train. And it also had a separate train station you could buy with it, which was an additional $80. And I was just sitting there at the toy store and I was like, man, this would be a really great video to do, but I don't have the money for it. So I called my wife and I said, Heike, listen, I want to buy something and this is how much I want to spend, but I don't want you to ask me any questions about it. And she was like, okay, just being so supportive. Mm-hmm. And so I did it. And then, so she took off on a missions trip for a week. And so I took that week to shoot the video because I was watching the kids at the same time. And it just went completely viral. I mean, it got millions of views. People were loving it. They're like, post more videos, do this, do that. Suddenly I got like a $350 check in the mail. Yeah, that was like a really huge deal for us.
And you got the check. Where'd you get the check from?
Oh, so Google owns YouTube.
Okay.
And so my channel. Okay, so whenever I did the Millennium Falcon, back then you had to fill out like a whole application to Google and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is my idea. This is how often I'll be posting. And then you send it off to them and then they approve it. Now that was potentially like a 90-day process right there. Mm-hmm. Just waiting for them to come back and say, yeah, you can do this. So, okay. That was a side note there.
So I want the first part of this podcast, I'd love it to be about the journey, right? And then the second part I think is very interesting to a lot of people is how you monetized something you dreamed of doing. And that, so we'll get to all that. I do want to say, just as a little teaser, part of this journey, Paul was recently inducted into the Guinness Book of World Records, and so we're going to talk through that. But that's kind of where he's at now. That was just recently. How long ago was that, Paul?
It was it was on February 24th that I broke the record.
Yeah,
so I had to look over at the certificate.
Can you show us the certificate?
Yeah, I can totally show
yeah. Let's see it. So this is really amazing. Paul is in the Guinness Book of World Records, and we're going to talk all about that. Look at that certificate and all. Dude, that is so great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this journey started out as, so did you always like Legos? I mean, was that always like a passion of yours as a kid?
Yes, I have always liked Legos. My parents didn't really have a whole lot of money to buy me a lot of Legos, but what I had, I absolutely loved.
So with that, when we met, you were actually filming a Christmas. We used to do a big Christmas giveaway, help a lot of families and such with our businesses around Christmas. And we decided to start to document that some. And so we hired you to film that. So you started out in more filmmaking. What were you doing? Like weddings and all kinds of stuff, right?
It was anything that I could get to come my way. Honestly, it was mostly weddings, a lot of videos, capital campaigns, nonprofit work, and then jobs like yours, like just odds and ends that are just exciting and fun, and they can potentially be emotional. Yeah.
And so, but somewhere along the line, like you weren't finding the success you wanted because you said you were pretty much broke.
No, it was pushing a financial boulder uphill. I started having kids. They were getting older. I think life was happening too fast, and I was pushing a financial boulder uphill. I just could not get ahead of the game. Like I wasn't even like actually making it. Like I wasn't even making payments. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like people say like living paycheck to paycheck. I wasn't even doing that.
So then you're like, okay, well, I know how to do video, obviously, and I love this Lego thing. And so then it all came together when you had that conversation with your brother, I guess, of like, wait a minute, maybe there's something here, right?
Yeah, I figured there's something there because I had the knowledge and skills and all the years of training on how to shoot, how to edit, how to even do, special effects using the Adobe software. And I just had to come up with the idea of what people were looking for. So I researched on YouTube. I was like, what's doing well on YouTube? And, I saw people doing speed builds. They were doing really well, which is just, they're putting together the set like really fast.
Videoing it from start to finish.
Right.
Okay.
Just a high quality time lapse.
Okay.
There's people that were making good money. I don't want to say good money. They were getting a lot of views just doing a minifigure animation. So, but they would design these like landscapes and they would tell stories, and that's how they would roll with their videos. And then there was people that would just show the set just built and like what it could do. So I just came up with the idea of combining all three. So I would do the speed build. I would do the minifigure animation with only the figures that came with the set.
Okay.
And then I would just have a very brief 30-second ending of just showing what it can do. So if it shoots missiles, show missiles firing. If the cockpit opens up, a figure fits inside, show that.
Well, a great example of that is I watched the video last night you did on the Nintendo.
Yes.
It actually has a remote control, and you can actually slide the Nintendo game in and close it, and it ejects. I was like, that's really amazing. I didn't know that even they went that far as to be functional. But it was pretty cool to watch. And so when people hear like, oh, you're making videos about Lego, like the first time I heard it, I was like, oh, he's making videos of himself putting Legos together. But I mean, it is a tedious process, right? Like you put a brick down, you move your hand back, you take a picture. Like every brick is that process, right?
It is an extremely tedious process, but it's actually all video. There's no photos taken.
Oh, really?
Because every once in a while you see my hands. If my hands need to show something that
You're
I
right.
can't
Yep.
Going together, like you can't mix video and photography together. The quality is like vastly different. So, and then another huge thing
so real fast, how do you do that? Do you have to hit pause each time then?
Okay, well, no, I mean, I set the camera up on a tripod and I hit the record button. And I mean, I don't hesitate to tell people this, because if they want to take this idea and run with it and start their own channel, go for it. But I actually build it without recording, and then I film it coming apart.
Oh, really?
And then I reverse the video. So yeah, I'm coming in, I'm taking a piece off.
Oh.
You know what I mean? And
so how do you do that without me seeing your hand go in and take the piece off?
It's called this blade tool.
Well, by the way, you don't have to give any of your trades away. So you can just be very generic. Yeah. Trust me, I'm not trying to start a Lego channel.
It's just slicing up the video, taking the parts out that show my hand.
Man, that would take forever.
Well, I've learned I actually kind of edit and fast forward. So I kind of have my hand on my finger on the shift button and the arrow key, and just fast forwarding through and hit, Command K, slice, Command K, slice, and then go through and delete it's actually not that.
So tell our listeners and viewers where they can see this information, because I'm sure they're fascinated with like, what does this actually look like?
Honestly, if you just Google all new bricks, you'll see video recommendations for the channel. You can go on YouTube, you search all new bricks. And then I do have an Instagram that I just started, but I mean, if you want to see the videos, you'll need to go to YouTube and then search all new bricks. You'll see the videos there.
Yeah. So what a cool thing. You took the thing that I don't know if it was your passion, like, I don't know, like hunting's my passion, fishing, hunting, outdoors. I don't know if Legos was, but something you enjoyed or that you were passionate about. And then you took something that you already were good at, a skill set that you had, and put them together to create a revenue stream for your family. I mean, I think that's everybody's dream, isn't it?
It is everybody's dream, and it's totally achievable. I mean, I used to get together with a group of guys back when I was first starting, and they were thinking I was going through a midlife crisis. And maybe I was. Playing with
Legos at 40 years old.
my midlife crisis worked out.
Yeah.
But I kind of forgot your question. What were you getting at?
Well, I was just saying it's interesting how, I mean, everybody says do what you love and follow your passions, and that's easier said than done at times.
Right. But it is easy. Yeah, absolutely. It is easier said.
You found a way to do it. And so tell me how so you kind of went through a little bit how that process worked. I mean, you were broke, you spent money that you didn't have on something that would hopefully, bring you success in the future. You talked about your wife being on board, which I think is really huge. Like, I think about my journey. I mean, Ordinary Men is a whole nother conversation, but where my wife Jessica was just so behind it and had so much faith. But in business, I had a similar story where I was pretty much broke too, and I went all in on real estate investing. And everybody sees they see the down the road, and they're like, oh man, yeah, he bought this or that, or yeah, he has passive income. But people don't see the day that you're sitting in Toys R Us and you have $8 to your name and you spend $10 on a set, or they don't see it when the market's crashing and banks are failing all around you, and IndyMac and Goldman Sachs is on the chopping block, and you're out buying real estate on the same day. Like, there's a lot of scary faith journey in that. So how did you, I know that you're a man of faith. I know that you're a man of prayer, the whole 9 yards. So, how did that play into all of this decision-making and stepping out?
Both of my wife and I were both risk takers. She's always been supportive of, I've had a number of ideas that just didn't work out. It was all like kind of video related, but I've had a number of different ideas that just never panned out. But she never lost faith. She never ridiculed me for it. She never, dragged me. Every once in a while I would get like a swift kick, like there's this one, like an example for how amazing my wife is. Like I would say, hey, listen, I need to put in a couple extra hours at the end of the day. So I need to work till like 7 or 8 tomorrow. And she was like, well, why don't you just wake up earlier? It's like, yeah,
I like your wife.
Yeah. And she's right. She's absolutely right. There's no reason that I should be like subtracting time from my family because I got behind and didn't foresee what was coming. Like, I need to do something different that's not going to take time away from my family.
I have to pause you there real fast. That's a piece of advice I give a lot of young entrepreneurs or people that are trying to really strive for something. That's a question I get a lot. Well, how do you have the time to do it? And I said, well, you have to find areas that you're willing to cheat, and you have to have areas that you're not willing to cheat. So it's almost like you have to create boxes in your life. And one of those boxes is my family. And so I wasn't willing to cheat. I had to cheat some, obviously, but when I was charging hard, I had to cheat some into that family time, but I tried my best never to cheat into that family time. If that was from 5 to 9 or whenever the kids went to bed, right? Or whatever that time was. But I knew I could cheat on sleep. Now, I know you can't do that for so long. It's not healthy for so long, but there's a point in life where you have to just kind of go for it. And I think that's what you're talking about. And so I did that very thing, is I would cheat on sleep. And people will say that I'm full of it, and they'll probably call BS on this, but it's not. My business partner and I would meet at like 3:34 in the morning and head north to Prince William and look at foreclosures. And I remember walking around houses in the dark with headlamps on, thinking I was going to get shot. They were foreclosures that were vacant, but I'm like, the next door neighbor is going to see me walking around. And so sometimes in life you have to make a sacrifice, but what are you going to sacrifice? Are you going to sacrifice on your family? Or are you going to sacrifice on those things that matter most? So I did that very thing. And I advise guys that as well. And it's like, once your kids go to bed, maybe that's when you can put in a couple hours before you go to sleep, but don't cheat your family. That's one area you have to be very stringent on.
Yeah. Whenever things do start to pick up, you just really have to say to yourself, like, what are my non-negotiables? That's what I like to call them. Mm-hmm. Like at the top of the list is like Jesus is my non-negotiable. Integrity and, just being authentic, and, making the wise choice. Like, please spend your time wisely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, don't be wasting it looking at stuff you're not supposed to be looking at it. Don't be talking to people you're not supposed to be talking to.
Yeah.
So, Jesus is, at the top. Then for me, like my other non-negotiable is like my family.
Yeah.
It's so important that my kids like see me. You know what I mean? Like, another thing is, like, if I'm down here, I work from home. So there's something that my dad always did that I want to do, is like, anytime I would go into my dad's office, he would just stop what he was doing, and we would just, hang out. And I come to realize, like, those hangout times were only like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So when my kids come down here, I'm not like, no, I got to do this. You need to head upstairs. Like, I'll take the time, find out what they need, or they just want to see what I'm doing. Yeah. You know what I mean? They're literally down here for like 30 seconds to a minute.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't have to come. So,
man, that challenges me. I mean, gosh, I'm so bad at that, Paul. And with my wife too. I mean, gosh, I feel bad about that. I mean, it's like, I feel like partly because, and I'm sure you're the same way, but when I'm involved in something, to stop and then get started again is not like a 5-minute process. It's like a 30-minute process because I got to get my mind back in. But you're exactly right.
I call that the creative process. Yeah. When it gets interrupted, it is hard to get back into the flow.
Yeah.
But
you're 100% right. And I need to be better at that. 100%.
No. And then of course, the third one is just, being true to yourself, to who you are, be authentic. I mean, gosh, I mean, I could go on for like a whole nother episode on this.
Well, but maybe we'll do that.
More than just having there's more than just having like an honest, successful, organic business. It's just being like kind to like people. You know what I mean? Like the uncomfortable kind. Like if you're in a hurry and, you see that somebody dumped their grocery bag, stop, help them, pick it up. I mean, just like the little things. I mean, it just.
So what does that mean? So what does that mean to you, being true to yourself? I mean, I hear that a lot, but what does that mean? What does that mean to
you? Being true to self would be, integrity. I just want to think of a cool example. I can't think of one.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, I challenge myself in that a lot. Like, am I being true to myself? Some of that was
right. Well, there's a lot, your conscience, telling you to be a certain way. Okay, here's a small example. Tonight I'm going out with some friends because 2 of them are celebrating their 40th birthday. Mm-hmm. And so I'm supposed to show up there, hang out with them, and we're going to have a great time. We're going to have some laughs and it's going to be good. But I bought them each a Lego set for their birthday. Now that was I'm the Lego.
Uh-oh. Did I lose you?
Guy. You know what I mean? So, I want to but I just felt this, I feel like this, I need to do this. This is, I don't know. I just felt like it was the right thing to do.
Yeah. It's who you are.
But I'm the only one showing up with something wrapped in a Christmas present. It'll be weird and awkward, but I just know it's going to make them happy,
Yeah. I like
but
that.
That voice in my head was saying hey, do this, or, I'm just trying to think that was just a small example, but
well,
just how you spend your time in your day,
Well, it does seem like the people that are most successful, the people that are most sought after, are people that are true to who they are. They're not trying to be somebody else. So a lot of times they may be weird. A lot of times they may be misunderstood. But it's the people that are the most viewed on YouTube, the most movie stars, actors. I mean, many of them are just very odd people, but people are very attracted to the fact that they're true to who they are. And right. I think that's hard to do, but it's a good challenge.
Right. I mean, we're constantly being bombarded with things get a higher education, plan for your retirement, get a steady job, but if that's not who you are, I mean, yeah, go get your steady job. But if that's not, who, if you don't do well operating in that way, then, that's probably what you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So you started this Lego building online. It's video. It's really fascinating. Anybody that hasn't seen it needs to go All New Bricks and check it out. And so how long did it take for you to start getting momentum in that? So you said you had 100 views on your first one. That was probably pretty exciting.
Right. Right. Well, that was exciting because I knew that it was more than just my brothers and my mom. I mean, these are people were watching it that I did not know.
And let me preface it with, I already said it, 1.31 million subscribers. I mean, try to put that in perspective, by the way. Think of a really big football game with 100,000 people in it. It's 13 times that. It's unbelievable of people that have subscribed, not watches, but subscriptions. And if I'm right, you tell me if I'm wrong, but I think your highest views was on the Jurassic World.
Yes.
It's 40, as of this morning, it was 42 million views. Is that right?
Yeah, it sounds right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about that. Yeah, I mean, that was. I mean, we can kind of touch on actual YouTube for a little bit. you know, the reason that Jurassic World did well, well, actually one, like I bought all those sets I didn't actually pay for those sets. That was before I became a Lego ambassador. Now Lego just basically kind of provides anything that I want to review. But that was back when I was still broke that I released that video. And I got together with a friend, and he was like, hey, listen, I proposed an idea to him. And my idea was, hey, let's go to people and say, hey, buy this set. I'm going to do a video of it. I'm going to mention that you sponsored it in the description, which I'm honest. I'm like, hey, this isn't going to get you like business. This is just you being able to say that you participated in this. And so they pay for the set. And then when I'm done with it, I package it back up and it goes to St. Jude Hospital. So I would go to people with this idea, and I went to this guy and I was like, hey, and I shared this idea. This is what Lego was releasing. And he said, I'll buy all of them. So he bought all those Jurassic World sets.
Oh, wow.
And you'll probably see it in the description. Like he's mentioned in the individual videos, because I do individual, and then that was a compilation video of all the videos together that has like the 40 million.
So 42 million views.
Right.
There's 5.7 million people in the state of Colorado. So that would be that would be everybody in the state of Colorado 7 times. Am I doing it right? 7 times over have watched that video. I mean, I only say that because I think we hear numbers like that now, like 5 million, 42 million. It's like, oh, well, that's a lot. But when you really stop to think about it, I think I read like Texas is around 30 million people. It's more than every person in the state of Texas has watched that video. That is, if you've ever driven through Texas, you know how big of a state that is and how many people live there. That is mind-boggling, bro. I mean, like, can you even fathom that something you did, 42 million people have watched?
Right. It's super fun.
Oh, real.
But I mean, that video is also, it's relevant. I mean, everybody loves dinosaurs. I mean, come on. I mean, really? It's like, and then it's also based off of a popular movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't go wrong with producing videos for those sets.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I didn't know it was going to do that well. But I felt like that I should definitely be producing videos for these sets because it hits every demographic.
Paul, that's great. Hey, I want to take more time on this subject, but first I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Ordinary Men. Many of you know this, but the Ordinary Discussions podcast was created to help and support ordinary men and ordinary women. Ordinary Men is a movement created to establish personal responsibility of disciple-making disciples instead of leaving it to only paid ministers. The desire is that this grassroots movement would spark and ignite a revival across the nation through ordinary men and women just like you. But just don't take my word for it. Listen to these testimonies for some of the past guests that we've had on the show. What do you think of OM so far?
Love it. It like opens the door and it directs you towards scripture and those types of things.
The Watchman Nee books and things have been really great, helping dig in to kind of, really take our faith a little bit deeper. And so I've really been enjoying that. Fellowship's awesome.
I'm excited about knowing the other guys who I don't know at all and seeing what God does in their lives through it.
It almost seems like, we're building momentum up to something more.
Ordinary Men is like a platform that gives guys the opportunity to walk through discipleship with one another.
So when Chad started Ordinary Men, I noticed a change in him over the course of the few months that you guys have been doing it.
It's just been cool to connect. It's been cool to connect and be in relationship with other people pursuing the same thing.
I'm super stoked on this program.
All right, so Paul, sorry about that short break, but back to you being an ambassador for Lego. Tell me about that.
Okay, so I was offered to go on a trip to Canada by a competitor of Lego, and I did tell them.
I guess you can't say. Yeah, there's competitor. I guess I wasn't really caring. I was like, there's competitors to Lego. That's the first thing that came to my head. I didn't even know there was one.
Yeah, I mean Yeah, I don't know if they are or not, but I'm not gonna.
Well, I'm going to
You can
Google.
find-
I'm going to Google it right now if I can find a competitor to Google. I want to say you don't have to confirm it. I want to see who a competitor to Lego would even be. But okay, go ahead.
So, anyways, they were like, "Yeah, you don't." I told them, I was honest up front. I was like, "Listen, I'm not gonna do your products. I'm not gonna social network your product. I'm not gonna do anything at all." And they thought that was fine. We still want to have you up here. We want to get your feedback. And I was like, "Okay, great." But they gave me the full treatment. They were absolutely incredible. But anyways, when I went up there, I wasn't going alone. They had invited several other bloggers, YouTubers, podcast people that were doing what I do, with Lego being their medium, I guess is what you'd say. And it was there that, and none of these people, I didn't look at any of these people like they were my competitor. We just established a relationship. We all became friends. I learned from them. They learned from me. It was an incredible experience. But it was through that I learned about the ambassador program, which is a program that Lego runs for, reaching out to the adult fan of Lego. And so, yeah, anyways, but the point I was really kind of telling about that is that whatever business you decide to pursue, or wherever you decide to go, like, just don't view anybody as your competitor. Yeah, you do have competitors, but don't treat them like they're your competitor. Because there's enough, like you did the realty for a while, there is enough homes being built in any area that there's enough to go around. Just like with YouTube, there's enough people in the world to reach where we can literally all be successful at what we're doing. So none of these people were selfish. And they said, "Hey, you should apply to be an ambassador." I was like, "What's a Lego ambassador?" So I applied. It was quite a process, but I did get in, and now Lego sends me, whatever I need. And they even said that I don't even have to ask for it. They send me stuff that isn't even released yet. And that stuff still goes to St. Jude. So just because I was having sponsors at the time, it didn't stop when I stopped doing the sponsorships. I just kind of did it in a different way, and Lego knows that those sets go to St. Jude Hospital.
That's cool. And do you send them completed or do you take them back apart?
Well, no. So I take them back apart, and because remember when I record, I'm taking it apart.
Oh, that's right.
So
Yep.
As I take it apart, I'm putting those pieces back in the correct numbered bag, and I put those bags in the Ziploc bags, and they go into a box. And then I hold on to them all year. And then I physically go to St. Jude Hospital and have a big Lego event for a bunch of kids. And yeah, it's super fun. It's really amazing. I'm actually thinking about switching gears. COVID I couldn't go this last year because of COVID. They weren't allowing anybody into, to do anything with the kids. So I'm looking into, and if anybody can help me with this is any listener, I would like to participate in hosting a Lego event at a juvenile detention center. There actually aren't that many left, but there's still some huge ones kind of spotted throughout the United States. And I would potentially like to I would potentially like to head over to the closest one to me and host an event for those kids.
And you're in Lynchburg, Virginia?
I'm in Forest, Virginia. It's right next to Lynchburg.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Well, that'd be awesome. So that's really cool. Those kids get some pretty cool Lego sets then. What are you, have you taken the Enneagram test?
I have.
What number are you? Do you mind me asking?
Oh my gosh. I think I'm a 9 with a 7 wing.
Okay. Because you're just, to be able to do what you do, to do what you do is so intricate and so detailed. I was wondering if maybe you were a 1. That's a perfectionist.
Right. No, I'm definitely not a 1.
No.
No, my wife is like huge on Enneagrams.
Oh, is she? Yeah. I want to do a podcast with Michael Gregory. You know Michael, right? Obviously.
Oh yeah, I love Michael.
He's a big Enneagram guy, and he would be funny to talk it through. So,
Right.
you guys listening, if you don't know what an Enneagram is, you should look it up. It's really a cool way to
it's very insightful.
to analyze
It really
yourself.
allows you to know who you are.
100%.
Why you operate the way you do. A lot of people don't like to think that they operate a certain way because of this or that. You know what I mean? But we do.
No, we absolutely do. It's really fascinating. I definitely have to do a podcast on the Enneagram. So, so your journey, you started out small. How long did it take? So you started in 2013, right?
Yeah, I did start off at 2013. I mean, at first it was me. I was constantly pushing for it.
Yeah.
Like I was still doing like weddings, and it probably took me about 3 years to just completely transfer out of shooting weddings and special events.
So at year 3, you were monetized enough to support to take place of the video shooting and such.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It took about 3 years for me to say, hey, I am ready to give this thing 100% of my attention.
Yeah, and I can't wait. Part 2, we're going to talk about how to monetize YouTube and how that all works, because that's a whole algorithm that I'd love to hear more about. Right. But so year 3, so that's 2016, so that was 5 years ago. So in that amount of time, you went from, in the beginning, small beginnings, right? So I'm sure it was a grind, and then you finally hit a point where I'm not that you're not working hard, but there becomes some momentum behind you, which that flywheel effect. Once the flywheel gets going, you can just push it every day and keep it moving. Right. And so then that's when you really started seeing huge success with millions of views and all that. And so then that brings you to recently you were on Good Mythical Morning. I watched that YouTube. If you guys don't know I didn't know what it was. Obviously I'm the only guy in America that doesn't know what it is, because Good Mythical Morning is a YouTube channel that has 17.1 million subscribers. 17.1. That's a 5% of the whole population of the United States of America. Like, that doesn't seem like much until you think, that means out of 100 people, that I see, 5 of those have watched, are subscribed, not watched, or subscribed to this channel, which is just, I know it's worldwide, but when you just look at it, I have to do these things in my head, or else these numbers they don't have any significance. But anyhow, you were on their channel, Good Mythical Morning, and you created their logo. Well, they had all kinds of stuff about you, but then you actually created their logo out of Legos. Is that correct?
That's right. Well, they emailed me.
Wow.
And they're like, hey, we would like to use your videos for a game show that we're doing for an episode. And I was like, yes.
Yes. 17.1 million subscribers. Yes.
Back when people first started getting monetized, there was like 10 like key YouTubers that were kind of like the celebrities behind what the poster children, I guess maybe you could call them. They're like the face behind YouTube, and like, you can do this too kind of an attitude.
Yeah.
But they were like one of the original like 10 people.
Is that right?
2 of them. Yeah. So they were like the first ones to like make it happen and be successful at it.
But it blows my mind. I mean, I'm on their channel right now. It's like, can we make our dads?
I mean, I was honored to like even hear from them, just because I know their story. I know their past. I know where they came from. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. What do you need? It's like, what do you need me to do? I'm there.
But it's crazy the views and subscriptions they get for the video. It's like garlic versus mint swap taste test, international dessert taste test. Like, it's all these things. McDonald's versus Wendy's taste test. Like, I could do that. Maybe I'm missing my calling. No, but anyhow, so they reached out to you. They wanted to use your videos, but then on top of that, you actually built them.
That was something I offered. I was like, hey, well, let's do a custom video for them, and so you use my videos, and then I'll do a custom deal. And they emailed me like a large Illustrator file or whatever that I could blow up big. And I just made it out of Lego bricks. And I had some Lego characters that I ordered the pieces to have characters that look like them. be in the video, and it was just like an added bonus, you know.
It was really cool. I thought that was the best part of the video. And so did you have to, obviously Lego doesn't have a good Mythical Morning set. So you just had to order pieces, or how did you do that?
Yeah. Well, there's a website called Bricklink, and you can order individual pieces.
Okay.
And so I just ordered a whole bunch of like 2x6s, 2x4s, 2x2s, you know, in white and in orange. And, you know, then I just went through and I, you know, typed in like minifigure head with glasses, you know, kind of thing. And chose my fellow. I mean, it was definitely a process, and it probably took about like maybe like 5 different orders. Cause I didn't assemble this thing on a computer first.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like I put it together, and then if I ran out of pieces, I stopped, ordered more of what I needed. The pieces came in. So it was definitely time consuming.
Is there software that you can download that allows you to tell you what to order if you want to build something?
Yeah, there is. I've just never.
Oh, really? There is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. A lot of people that like design their own sets and sell the instructions online. They use like all that computer stuff. They like design the whole set on a computer.
How many subscribers do I need to get an OM logo built? Noah told me to ask you that. He said, poke him on that one. See? I said, no way am I going to ask him that. That's a lot of work. He's like, no, you have to ask him.
Let me process that.
Okay. Yeah. That's good. You don't want to answer that on air. I don't blame you. I wouldn't either. No, but that's really cool. So then I'm assuming one of the big reasons was that before or after the Guinness Book World Records?
That was before.
Oh, it was before.
World Records. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me how that worked out. So how did that even come to fruition, that whole process of Guinness Book World Records?
All right. So Guinness World Records, you know, again, with Good Mythical Morning, they reached out to me. I get emails like this all the time. Like literally, I could potentially say daily.
Really?
I get emails from people like, hey, let's, you know, partner together to this. But a lot of times it's the people, they actually want your money. They don't want to actually collaborate. You know what I mean? So when I heard from Guinness, it was kind of unbelievable. So I searched the email address. It was a legit email. I searched the name. The guy's name popped up, says that he does work for Guinness in the UK. And within minutes of that email, I was like, this is pretty legit. So I replied back. Well, their email said, would you like to participate in breaking a world record? And I wrote back, absolutely. What do you have in mind? They replied, we're hoping you could come up with something. And I was like, okay. And so Lego, just a year before they sent me the email, released the Lego Coliseum, which is the largest Lego set that's currently, well, there's one that beat it just like a month ago, but at the time it was the largest Lego set. And it was 9,036 pieces. And I proposed the idea. I said, hey, listen, I'll, you know, do this set and I'll build it as fast as I can. And, you know, funny story is they were like, how fast, we love the idea. How fast do you think you can do it? And I had no idea whatsoever. So I guess there was another YouTuber out there that did do like a how fast I built this thing kind of thing. And he did it in 15 hours, but he wasn't trying to break a world record. So it wasn't like, you know, he didn't get like a certificate for it or anything. And so I was like, all right, let's put down that I can do it in 15 hours. I was like, I actually have no idea if I can pull this off.
Yeah.
And so they're like, all right, we still need you to go online and fill out the application. When I filled out the application, I accidentally put 14 hours, 15 hours. So I subtracted an hour from myself, like right off the bat, put 14 hours. And of course I didn't know that I did that. And then they wrote me back and they were like, your application's been approved for 14 hours. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do this thing in like 14 hours. So yeah, I was really happy when I did it. And what was the exact time? 13 hours, 37 minutes and 36 seconds.
Dude, that's amazing. And that's how many pieces?
9,036.
Gosh. So you actually have a video of that on your YouTube channel. I watched it last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Guinness has one too, which has like millions of views already.
Really? And you were in that where you're at right now, aren't you? Were you in this room?
Yeah. I was in this room. I was kind of set up over there, but yeah, you can tell the floor. We're replacing the floor with vinyl. We just haven't done it yet.
I just recognized the wall. I thought that was the same wall texture that I saw. Wow. So that's amazing. So you actually had guys from Guinness come to your house
No, well, here's the thing. If you're going to break a world record, now's the time to do it, because they've lifted all these like things, like having a representative be there, that's all been removed because of COVID. And so the requirement was like, I set up like multiple cameras. I have multiple witnesses. I have like multiple clocks going. So there's definitely a bunch of things got to line up, but like some of the rules, like if COVID wasn't going on, you'd have to have a representative there. You'd have to do it in a public place. But all that stuff's been removed. So if you're going to break a record with Lego, now's the time to do it. Yeah,
but it was still super legit. I mean, I don't want somebody listening to think that somehow you gamed the system. I mean, I watched the video. There's people timing and there's people there. I mean, it wasn't like you had some buddy being like, yeah, you did it in 13:37.
No. And it's all documented. I had to provide so much proof. They even wanted proof that it was a Lego set.
Wow.
Which sounded kind of crazy at first to me, but if I were to have somebody watch the video and they were like, prove to me that that's a Lego set. Okay. So, but I just so happen to have recorded me unboxing the set.
Yeah.
I'll just say, here's the box, here's the UPC code, here's the factory sealed tape, and I had done all that. So I kind of got lucky in that area because I didn't know, but yeah, they are asking for all kinds of every proof that you can think of.
Yeah, that's really amazing. I never thought I would know somebody that was in the Guinness Book of World Records, but I do, and that's pretty cool.
I'm about to break another one.
Oh, which one are you going to? Oh, I want to go there. But you didn't put the Coliseum together ahead of this, right? That was the first time you did it?
No, I had never put it together. I think I could have been faster if I had like put it together, taken it apart, and then did it again. But I mean, when you're trying to run a YouTube channel at the same time, you just don't really have
Let me ask you that. So I'm sure I don't know, maybe you didn't. Did you record yourself taking it apart so that you would have a video of that?
No.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I didn't. I mean, it's so big. It's so many pieces. It probably would have taken me like 3 weeks just to shoot it.
Is that right?
Yeah,
what's a normal like a normal set? How long does that take you to shoot one of those?
A normal set, about 50 hours. In a week. So it's definitely once a week. Now it's from like shooting, editing, and then getting it up on YouTube. It's easily a 5-day work week.
I mean, people watch this YouTube stuff and they're like, oh, it's a 20-minute, 15-minute video. Yeah, they just put a 15-minute video out every week. They have no clue the amount of time and energy.
No, it's a very time-consuming process. Like you really have to be into it. Like you have to love what you're doing to do this because.
Oh, 100%. Trust me. I mean, I know nothing compared to what you're doing, but even like just this podcast, Ordinary Discussions podcast, the amount of time and energy it takes to get a podcast up and out. I mean, from recording it to transferring the data to having somebody edit it to getting it. I mean, it's just, I know it doesn't, you're probably watching it saying, well, it doesn't look that great. We're getting better, number one. And number two, I can't even imagine the amount of time and energy that goes into these videos. You said you're about to break another one?
Yes. So, I mean, it's not bigger than the Coliseum, but it's just as famous as the Coliseum, I'd say.
Is that right?
So you can kind of see it back behind me.
I do see it. Yep.
It's the Ultimate Collection Series Millennium Falcon. It's 7,000 something pieces.
Wow.
And I was just thinking, I was like, I mean, this was like my wife's a realtor, so she pursues marketing from a local standpoint. Mm-hmm. Like I need marketing from an international standpoint. And that kind of stuff, like you either like pay, I mean, I've never actually had to pay for international marketing, so I don't know what it takes. But it's gotta be difficult to like reach people. Like, how do you reach the world? So when Guinness reached out to me and I was like, yeah, like this is like me an opportunity to market what I'm doing. And just for the cost of a Lego set and renting 3 GoPro cameras. So once I got the record for that, I just saw like I was in like all these blogs, I was on like various news stations. I mean, it was like going everywhere all over the place. And I was like, I'm just going to do another one. So, and Guinness, I mean, Guinness loves me. Because like we're good for each other. I love Guinness. They love me. Yeah. It's like I've got the audience that they want me to have. and they've got the means to be able to spread the word on what I'm doing. So we really work well together. Like they're getting something from me, I'm getting something from them. It's a great collaboration, partnership, whatever you want to call it. But I was like, well, I'm not going to stop at the Coliseum. So I got my hands on the Millennium Falcon, and I'm scheduled to do that, I think, on like the 18th or the 23rd of this month.
Wow.
Or of July.
And the real winner in all of this is Lego.
Yeah,
I mean, how many times have we said the word Lego on this podcast?
Yeah. I mean, I'm like a Lego YouTuber, also like, like a Lego ambassador, but like Lego itself, like never really promotes me.
Yeah.
So whenever I saw me doing the Coliseum on Lego's Instagram, I was like, that was a really, really huge deal.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they didn't mention all new bricks, you know what I mean? But they were like, congratulations, all this stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, that's big.
Yeah, that is.
It was really fun.
Well, I'm proud of you, Paul. Let's wrap this segment up of the 2-part episode here. What would you say to people just as we wrap up? I'm sure there's plenty of people listening that are maybe in a job they don't love, a dead-end career. They feel like, they have a passion, but they're really not doing anything with it. Maybe they're broke right now. What kind of advice do you give them, or maybe inspirational words as we close out here?
Oh, gosh, I would just, say, if you have let me just I've been asked this question before, and I always want to say like the wisest thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like, what could I possibly say? But I mean, I get excited. I pursued something that I'm excited about. My wife has been supportive from the get-go. We both love Jesus. She's kind of like the prayer person.
Yeah.
Like she does the praying. She's like, I'm going to fast over this, and I'm kind of like I'm just going to try it. And as long as I'm pursuing Jesus and it doesn't work out, I'm going to say that was not meant to be. You know what I mean? Kind of an attitude.
Oh, we just had a big discussion about this. We're on part 3 of the Holy Spirit in our Ordinary Men's group this morning. And that was one of the big questions. Like, how do you know when the Holy Spirit's leading you? How do you know when it's something you ate that night? How do you know it's just your will or his will? And that was part of my, not argument or pushback, but a point that I made was like, if you're pursuing Jesus and you're putting him first in your life and you're spending time with him in intimacy daily, yes, or often, I mean, we don't have to be dogmatic about it, but if we're spending time in it, then if you pursue something and it's the wrong thing, then he's going to put a bumper up and he's going to get you back in the right. Like he's a good father. He's not a deviant father. Right. Like just like if our children make the wrong decision, we're going to help get them back on the right track. And yeah. So I do feel that way in a big way. Like I'm not saying you shouldn't pray, and you're not saying that either. But you're saying if you're living for him and you have this desire, and it's not against his word and against something that he commands, then go for it, right? And trust the Lord. And if it's not the right thing, then he'll let you know.
Right. And that takes us back to the whole true to self thing.
Yeah. That's good.
But if you're pursuing Jesus and you're trying to make wise choices and you're consulting him in all of your decisions and you're like living and breathing it, I mean, gosh, I don't mean to get off topic, but I mean, we have like an open door policy in our home. Like we don't like shut people out. We don't, lock our doors. Like you can actually pull into my driveway right now and start my car and drive off with it. It's like, I mean, we are just like.
Lucky for you, we don't have 17 million subscribers, so you're pretty safe. I don't think anybody's going to come to your house.
But I mean, it's just like living. Just just being kind. It's just going to all pan out.
Yeah.
I mean, find what you love. Live life the way that you're supposed to be living it. And then the right choices are going to come.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
And then if it's the wrong choice, it's just, if it's the wrong choice and you're pursuing like you're supposed to, it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Kind of thing. Do you understand what I'm saying?
And if it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world. You told me you had a lot of failures before you found your success. You said that earlier.
Yeah. I mean, well, I tried the eBay thing. I thought the eBay thing was going to, like, I started like investing in Lego sets and holding on them for a couple of years, and that didn't pan out. I was like, hey, I think instead of doing video, I'm going to become a photographer. And that never panned out. I mean, I had like all these ideas, but my wife was just always so supportive in all of it.
Yeah.
Gosh, she was so patient.
Well, you know, it's rarely the first thing you try that is the big thing. It's rarely the first idea you come up with that's the big idea. Sometimes, but rarely. And so, like, you just got to take steps, and you've got to. It's in your faith, in your pursuit of a career, in pursuit of your dreams. It's all about taking a step. And I know this is very cliche, but it's all about taking a step and seeing where that step leads you. Is it success or failure? If it's failure, turn the other way. If it's success, keep going that route. And I mean, I can't tell you, my business has turned out completely different than I ever thought they would have. Now, they're similar because I had a dream starting out, but much different. And I'm sure Ordinary Men and Ordinary Discussions is going to look much different in 10 years than I could have ever dreamed how it would look when I first started on this journey. And I think that's one of the fun things about life, that sometimes that journey is the fun part of it. And we want to get rid of that journey, and we just want to get to the end result. And without the journey you had, without the failures you had, without being nearly broke, without having a wife that trusted you even when maybe she shouldn't have, and without all those things, it wouldn't, being where you are today, Guinness Book of World Record holders, being on a podcast recently with 17.1 million subscribers, monetizing something you love, wouldn't be near as sweet as it is with that journey in place. So, man, kudos to you.
Yeah, and it's that journey that, like, I think they call it the top of the tip of the spear or something like that. I forget what saying they use, but it's like, it's all those things that happened in life when we were broke that has led me to be where I am today.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Because you have to learn from all these things.
Yep.
I know you got to go, but I just wanted to, I don't know if you want to tie this in anywhere, but it's just kind of this funny story on like how broke we were. We would, and I just never want to forget this. It's just that, like, whenever there was a gas station in town that still took checks. You could write a check, and you could not only write a check, but you could write a check for $5 over. And so we would go to the pump, we would fill up my wife's car, and then I'd take the pump out. She would drive forward. I would fill up my truck. Then I'd hang up the pump and then write the check for $5 over. So now we have 2 full gas tanks, $5 in our pocket. Yeah, we overdrafted, but we can now drive to work or where we need to go for the week. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And I mean, like, it was an incredible, learning experience. I am happy now that I did go through that kind of stuff, because like, we're so into helping people as often as we can. And I don't think I'm not sure that I would be so open to doing what we do for people in the world if that kind of thing didn't happen.
Yeah. Wow. Well, if you're listening and you kind of feel like you're in that spot, you're writing checks for $5 over, or you owe everybody money, you can't make your rent, you don't know where life's going, just know, hopefully this podcast will give you some hope and get your mind thinking and back with some excitement in life that maybe there's a way out. I know there's a way out, obviously. And so, yeah, I hope this inspires you. It inspires me, your story. I've seen it. I mean, I knew you when you were just doing video for a Christmas event. And, I mean, it's unbelievable. I'm so proud of what you've done and where you're at. And, I can't wait to see where this is ultimately going to go. And so, thanks so much for being part of the podcast today. Everyone, if you enjoyed this podcast, you're really going to enjoy the next one. Paul and I are going to talk about how he monetizes his YouTube channel, how he monetizes something that he loves in life. And so I think that's going to be fascinating for anybody that has a business mindset or likes YouTube or just likes to make money, which is everyone. So make sure you tune in next time. Until then, thanks so much, Paul.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Jeremy. I loved it.
All right, we'll see you.